All right, that was CNN's Nick Patton-Walsh. But now we have the first reaction from the Iranian president, Masoud Pezeshkian, who many figured was a sidelined figure. He was merely a figurehead. He is the president. Yes, he's now reacted. He has vowed revenge after the killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the Supreme Leader of Iran. Tehran is viewing revenge as its duty, is what Masoud Pezeshkian has said. He was seen as a slightly more moderate, reformist president, but increasingly in the last few weeks and months, certainly after the attacks that we saw in June last year, the 12-day war, he was being sidelined as almost like a figurehead there, and it was directly being taken. The most important political and military calls, security calls, were being taken by the Supreme Leader along with other folks like Ali Larijani. But now the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has vowed revenge, saying that revenge is a legitimate right of the Iranian people. Group Captain, what do you make of this? I mean, there are ultimately, like you were saying, if we have to find a swift end to this, then Iran will have to be convinced that there is a candidate or a set of leaders who are acceptable to the Americans and to the Israelis, a moderate leadership, if you will, who then they can say, okay, Khamenei has been eliminated, the top leadership of Iran has been eliminated, now it's time to hand the baton over to someone slightly more moderate.
Even if that happens, Zaka, it is going to be a short-term peace for a simple reason. The hadith is very, very clear. Both Al-Bukhari as well as Al-Muslim. It very clearly says during the end of times, you find a Jew, even if he is hiding behind a tree or a stone, you need to finish him. Unless you do that, you cannot go to the judgment day. So if that is, kind of enshrined, then there is a problem that is always lurking in the background. Peace could be short-term. And when I say short-term, it could be even 100 years, 200 years short-term. So unless that somehow changes, the narrative changes, I do not know will there be a lasting peace, A. B, and most importantly, like Zaka, you correctly mentioned, people of Iran, their will needs to be put on the new government and not a hardliner's view that should come on the people. If the reverse happens, then the problem is always there on the ground. So many people have been killed, so many people will be killed in the future. So a lot of other countries other than US and Israel need to measure up, come in support of people of Iran to get a regime which is pro-people, Zaka.
Okay, I also want to get Sushant Sareen if he's there to try. Okay, we'll try and go back to our other guests as well. If Mr. Yossi is there to weigh in. Okay, Daniel Benjamin Shapiro is former U.S. diplomat to Israel. Thank you very much, Mr. Shapiro, for speaking with us. So now we have the first reaction from the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, who was seen as a slightly more moderate face. He has now come out and said he's vowing revenge against America and Israel for killing the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. What do you make of that?
Well, I think as long as the regime survives, they will try to establish some revenge. I'm actually sitting in Tel Aviv, and there have been several barrages of missiles launched at Israel already today, and those might indeed already be part of revenge. They've continued to launch missiles into the Gulf against targets in GCC states. So it's certainly possible that they consider this revenge, and this is a very ideological regime. They've been driven by that ideology to try to destroy Israel, to sponsor various terrorist organizations and undermine Arab governments, to try to kick the United States out of the region. And their ideological leader has now been removed. So it would be logical that at least until more damage is done, they will try to establish some measure of revenge for his death.
So war game this for us. How does this play out over the next week, maybe 2 weeks? Does Trump immediately claim political victory and say that, look, I've cut off the head of the snake. This is a huge victory for me. Now I want the Iranians to stop. Or does he go in for the long haul? He just doesn't stop at just Khamenei alone. He goes for the entire top leadership of Iran, and then he wants the people of Iran. I don't know how this is going to happen, but at the end of that, whether it's 10 or 20 or 30 of the top leadership of Iran is eliminated, and then he expects the people to take back the regime. How is that going to work?
it's not a good practice to try to anticipate Donald Trump's decisions because he's very mercurial and probably he doesn't know what he'll decide. He, of course, established regime change as the strategic objective on his opening statement of the night the war began. Then immediately within the day, he said, well, he could do two things. He could either go all the way, as he said, fight for 3 or 4 weeks until the regime is totally destroyed and he controls everything. I don't really think he wants to be in control of Iran. Or he could take, after 2 or 3 days, the decision that sufficient damage has been done to their nuclear and missile programs, and then he will threaten the remaining regime figures with a resumption of fighting if they try to rebuild those programs. And you could add to that Khamenei's death as an additional trophy that allows him to claim victory. He, of course, his history is that he prefers short, sharp military actions, not long, extended wars. He's been a critic of long, extended wars that the United States has been in the past, of regime change wars, in fact, in Iraq and Afghanistan. So it would certainly not be surprising, but very hard to predict, but not surprising if he would say sooner than later, after a few more days, yes, we've done enough damage, we've killed the leader, we have the next leadership tier in place, and they will be deterred from being as threatening and as destabilizing as Iran has been under this regime for so many decades. But that would be a way for him to get out of this before our air defenses are stretched and perhaps to claim a victory without getting pulled into a longer engagement than he wants to.
All right, Lieutenant General retired KJS Dhillon is also now joining us. Major General retired Rajan Kochar here in our studios. Defense expert Tara Karta, former director with the National Security Council Secretariat, will also be joining us. Let me ask General Dhillon. General Dhillon, we were on the air last night as well. The fact that the Supreme Leader of Iran has been killed, how much of a political victory is this for Donald Trump? Will he use this as a victory and say, okay, this is the off-ramp I'm giving the Iranians, let them take it and exit this war quickly? Because he doesn't have, as our previous speaker was saying, he doesn't want to get America entangled in long wars. Or do you think he has the propensity to continue this for the next few weeks so that the entire top leadership of the regime is changed and then the people of Iran revolt and take back their government, take back their country, and then decide who might be palatable as a next leader of Iran?
Good afternoon, Zaka, and good afternoon to the fellow panelists and all your viewers. We have to understand one thing. When America went in for this war, if you can call that a war or a conflict or whatever, it had a very declared aim of regime change. And why did America go in for this war? Because America will accept everything and anything. The only thing which America will not accept is anyone having the capability to hit American homeland with missiles or with the nuclear weapons. So if Iran was becoming a threat which could hit the American homeland, that capability has to be destroyed. Now, with that as a background, when America went in for this war, they very clearly laid out phases of war or campaign. They are very clearly mentioned what all actions will take in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Some of the phases can even overlap. Now, in this particular way, the way we were talking yesterday also, the first and the foremost thing was to decapitate the political leadership, the religious leadership, the government top officials, and the military leadership, so that there is a vacuum at the top in the decision making, and that would result in confusion in the rank and file. Now, that was the first and the foremost phase 1. Coupled with that was to suppress the air defense, to neutralize the missiles which are likely to hit the American interests in the region, as well as the Israelis, and suppress the air defense so that American missiles and drones and aircrafts can fly with impunity. That was to happen simultaneously. Phase 2 would be to destroy America's military assets and, most importantly, military industrial base, which was manufacturing these missiles, so that it does not have the replenishment or recouping capability while the war is going on. Coupled with all these things was to destroy America's economic assets so badly that for the next 2-3 decades, Iran's assets so badly that for the next 2-3 decades, they cannot get their act together and manufacture these weapons again. As also the nuclear weapons, nuclear material, all this would happen under an umbrella of a very solid psychological warfare or narrative building.
Okay.
Which has already started. We have seen the people coming on the street, the selective videos being leaked of women crying death to Khomeini and all that. So all this was to happen in a particular phased manner. One thing which Iran's oil refineries, because that they would need even after the regime change or after the war is over. Other than that, all the economic assets, the military assets, the political, military, government, top leadership will be decapitated. And in this whole game, internal uprising would be given a flip.
Okay.
And that would result in a civil war.